I created a PowerPoint. We're gonna start with the basics. So this is Paranormal 101. We're gonna talking about what paranormal actually means, a brief history of paranormal beliefs. We're gonna talk about a couple types of paranormal phenomena, some theories as to why people believe in the paranormal and supernatural, some theories as to why people are skeptical, and some scientific stuff. And obviously, we're gonna discuss it, okay? We're gonna determine why people think what they think, and maybe, throw in some theories, some tinfoil hat theories, okay? Have you experienced something unexplainable before? Chat, have you ever seen a ghost? Have you heard unexplained noises? Have you had sleep paralysis before? Have you seen UFOs? And have you had the unexplainable feeling like you're being watched? That is one of the most common feelings, is the feeling that a presence or unknown energy is in the room with you or in the environment with you. So 60% of Americans have said they have experienced at least one paranormal event in 2022. I've never seen a ghost personally. I've definitely had some, I guess, weird encounters, you could say. I'll get to my personal experiences a little later, but these are just like kind of some examples of some unexplainable events. I've seen a dead relative at one point. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's a very common one too. After a relative passes away, they'll come back and maybe provide you with some information, either confirming that they're okay or that they want you to do something for them. That's a common one too, I feel like, within the paranormal unexplained events, right? So what does the word paranormal mean? The word paranormal, per the Merriam-Webster dictionary, means not scientifically explainable or I spelled that wrong, or supernatural. That should have been spelled supernatural, not supernature. But in general, it can be a charged word, right? Because for some people who are more superstitious or maybe even religious, they don't like the words paranormal. They don't like the word supernatural. It either freaks them out or they feel like it goes against the word of, in quotations, God for some people, okay? I have a list of some things that exist. Ghosts and into some people, like, they exist is in quotations, right? Because it hasn't been proven, so we can't say for sure if they exist or not. But the first thing I have are ghosts and spirits, which are entities that have not yet crossed the other side or come back for a reason. Ghosts and spirits are different from demons and other supernatural beings. Ghosts and spirits I'm going to use vaguely as people who have just not crossed over to the other side yet. There are also some theories that ghosts and spirits are actually that have made it into our world. This can be seen from the many worlds model. The many worlds model, for those who don't know, is the theory that there are infinite realities with different scenarios happening, and every once in a while those things can intersect, and this can cause the Mandela effect. This can cause lapses in memories. Like there's a lot of theories to this, okay? I'm gonna be so real with you guys. I'm gonna be very brief on demon stuff because I'm very superstitious. I don't fuck with demons like that. I can get into a little bit of demonology with you guys because it was something I studied a lot as a kid just to keep myself aware. But I'm very superstitious, and I'm, honest to God, a little freaked out about demons. And I definitely keep myself knowledgeable about it, but I try not to get involved with it, if that makes sense. Next one, UFOs and cryptids, monsters and creatures of and not of this earth. So UFOs, unidentified flying objects, usually refers to aliens. Cryptids are monsters, and creatures of the earth. Usually these are like mythological creatures in a way. This includes stuff like Bigfoot, a Loch Ness Monster, Mothman, stuff like that. I did not include on this specific list urban legends. So urban legends and cryptids have some overlap, but also not, right? Like, I listed Bloody Mary on another slide as ghosts and spirits, where I think Bloody Mary falls more into the urban legend category. Psychic abilities and curses. So psychic abilities are typically abilities that are given or people are born with that can allow them to do certain, in quotations, superhuman things, right? So we have like the Clairo series. We have clairvoyance, we have clairaudience. It's like clairvoyant people are people who can either see the future or like see dead people, I guess, spirits, things like that. Clairaudience is you can hear like voices and stuff like that of like future stuff. You have like, just people who are more intuitive. Like, I don't want to say myself because I don't think I'm really like a psychic, but I am intuitive. So I can sense things, I guess, but I wouldn't say I'm a psychic. And then we have curses. Curses are interesting because some people have this, there's like many different theories to curses, right? So a lot of times you can, maybe it's a family lineage, it's a place you live. Also, some people can just see it as someone having perpetual bad luck can be a little bit of a curse. Curses can be given to a family, like I said, like a lineage, or it can be a single person, it can be a place. A lot of curses come from disrespect. Now that's going to be a big topic, right? Because I'm going to try my best to talk about respecting, you know, native culture and respecting different things, because a lot of curses are avoidable if you just respect things. And then we have haunted places. I'm also going to be talking about something called, that's like dear to my heart, sounds a little weird. I'm going to be talking a little bit about California specific haunted places. There was a haunted place near me that I used to drive across with my family or next to. It's the Arroyo Seco Arch in Pasadena, right? Arroyo Seco Arch in Pasadena, also known as the Suicide Bridge, because a lot of people used to jump off it starting in 1919 and the Great Depression. And that bridge, it feels very eerie when you drive over it. It feels very spooky. And it's what connects like Altadena area with like Pasadena. Okay, and this is SoCal, and I used to like drive on this bridge, right? Very spooky. They actually are proposing to build a structure that prevents people from jumping off it further. So like some barriers and stuff, some like nets and whatnot. But yeah, and then we have the hoaxes, right? So some things may just simply be sensationalist, right? So unexplained stuff does not necessarily mean automatically supernatural. Sometimes it means we just don't have enough evidence yet to prove it, right? Which I believe karma can be considered a form of curse in a way, depending on negative or positive karma. And karma obviously can be gained from previous lives. Now, you're probably asking, Odin, why are you talking a lot about karma? Well, let me explain. I grew up Japanese Buddhist because my mortal mom is Japanese. I've said this a million times. This is why I can't be a weeb, because I'm culturally Japanese. So basically, I grew up with the idea of karma. And the idea of, you know, whatever you put out is going to come back to you, right? Now, this is a little different to me than the rules of threes and Wiccanism. I'm not a Wiccan, for clarity. I don't believe in the rules of three, because I've seen so many people get away with bad shit that nothing happened to them. So I don't really believe in the rules of three, but I do believe in things coming back for you. Why do humans believe in supernatural things? Why do mortals like the idea of the supernatural, right? So humans naturally are wired to seek patterns. This is known as apophenia, or human pattern recognition, which is the tendency to perceive connections between unrelated things, okay? So this was first coined by psychologist Klaus Conrad in, I believe, Germany. So it's a commonplace effect of brain function, right? It's something that naturally happens in the brain, but when you have too much of it, that's when you can get some mental health issues, right? It's like, you know, you see things in the clouds, maybe you can hear voices in static, or feeling like you're being watched when you're alone. These are all effects of apophenia, wanting to assign human meanings to things that maybe don't actually have a pattern. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about why humans believe in things. So people like assigning meanings to things that may not have meaning, right? People don't like to believe that things are randomly generated. They like to believe that there is cause and effect to everything, or that there is a pattern. Maybe this is why things are happening, is because XYZ, right? So think of this as the man in the moon, right? You know, when there was that photo from the picture of the moon, I forget what year it was, but people saw this face-like figure in the moon's craters, giving it the term man on the moon, right? Or man in the moon. Stuff like that. Have you guys ever seen things in clouds? Like, I've definitely seen clouds that have looked like a little buffalo, or, you know, shit like that. Like, I've seen shapes in clouds. So I listed some of the haunted places in California. Obviously, we talked about Winchester Mystery House. Cecil Hotel is interesting. Hollywood Sign, very obvious. Hollywood Sign is interesting. Do not hike there at night. So it's supposedly haunted by the woman who jumped off the H in the 1900s. She was a film star. She was only ever in one film, Peg and Twistle. She's a 24-year-old British stage and screen actress, and she jumped off it in 1932. Fifth one is demonic entities. I'm not going to spend as much time on this because, like I said, it's one of my least favorite topics, because I'm very, 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 very careful about this stuff. But just so you know, there are 150 trained Catholic exorcists in the USA alone. Anyway, so what does science say? So science can be used to explain a lot of things. Obviously, our brain can play incredible tricks on us, especially, you know, when we talk about like that apophenia, right? So sleep paralysis, as I said, is a temporary state where you are semi-conscious or conscious, but unable to move or speak while waking up or falling asleep, all right? Hallucinations and sensations of pressure on your chest are common symptoms of this, right? That's why a lot of people will write off sleep paralysis as hallucinatory and all that stuff, when in fact, I think sometimes sleep paralysis can be psychic attacks. But it really depends on who you talk to. Psychologists will say like hallucinations are just a trademark of sleep paralysis and it's a sleep disorder. I'm also, for clarity, I'm bipolar, right? And I've had hallucinations before. So, I mean, like, I feel like it can be psychic attacks. And I also feel like I've been able to distinguish between hallucinations and that stuff, but that's beyond the point. All right. Carbon monoxide poisoning. This can lead to hallucinations as well. If you are being poisoned by carbon monoxide in your house, this can absolutely cause, you know, in quotations, paranormal event in the brain, right? Make you think you're seeing something when you're not. You're just dealing with carbon monoxide. Then there's something else called memory errors, which are defined within the 7 senses of memory. So you have omissions and commissions. So omissions are forgetting over time, absent-mindedness, and retrieval blocking, so you can't remember stuff. Commissions means misattribution, suggestibility, bias, and persisting unwanted memory. So this can also lead to misremembrance of events and can cause our brains to think things happen when they actually didn't happen. That's what science can kind of explain some paranormal events, right? So these 3 things are kind of the main things science will use to explain the unexplained. That's kind of a scientific way to look at things. Obviously, it's different if there's multiple people experiencing stuff. Then it gets a little harder to explain if there's multiple people. Unless it's carbon monoxide poisoning, which everyone gets carbon monoxide poisoning. So why are stories so enthralling and important, right? Why are paranormal stuff so important to society and human nature as a whole? And why is it so intriguing to us? So storytelling. Storytelling is a huge part of mortal culture, right? It is as old as culture itself, and many societies have long established storytelling traditions. The stories and performances thereof function as to entertain as well as educate, in parentheses, National Geographic. So stories have always been used to explain the unexplainable. You know, stories have been used to frighten kids, right? Like, if you don't go to bed, the boogeyman's gonna get you, shit like that, right? There's many different reasons for why people tell stories. A lot of it is to unify. You know, there's so many reasons storytelling is so important, you know, entertainment, right? And religion likes to deal with where does our body go after we die, right? Or where does our soul go? Maybe not our bodies, but our soul. A lot of religion likes to explain and give us peace that, you know, your life means something, right? Like, you're gonna go on to this, or you're gonna do that, or you're gonna come back, etc., etc. People just really like to find meaning in that. Also with the apophenia, right? Like patterns, etc. Like, it's like why we like to believe that good things happen to good people, bad things happen to bad people, right? Etc. The second one is the fear of death. Oh, this is a common phobia. A lot of people are scared of dying. A lot of people don't like to think about death. There's a lot of reasons people are scared of death. You know, they don't want to leave their family behind. They don't, you know, there's a lot, okay? There's a lot of reasons why people don't like death. Anyway, on to the next one, culture and entertainment. So paranormal stories will never die. People want to make patterns out of the randomness of the universe. Like, that's just important to people, right? I just wrapped up this presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed this little spooky little interlude. Thank you guys for being here. All right, love you guys. Bye.